Hello there, everyone. My name is Oversoul. This is Oversoul Gaming, and welcome to Alan Wake 2, a video game that was nominated in 8 different categories at the 2023 Game Awards. Yes, and you're about to find out why. Now, this is a replay. I have already played this game on my own. Unlike my traditional Let's Plays that are reactionary based with a lot of editing and face cam, replays have minimal editing, if any at all, and no face cam. And the commentary is meant to be more informative and kind of like a conversation about the game itself, more so than jokes and jump scare reactions. Although there will be those too. But anyways, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get to it. For the sake of just getting through this as fast as possible, we'll be playing on the easiest difficulty. And like any good story, this one begins at the end.
Back to the beginning. We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story. In a horror story, there are only victims and monsters. And the trick is not to end up as either. But trapped by the genre, we are all ripped to pieces along the way. This is not the story I hoped it would be. This is not the ending I wanted. This story will eat us alive. This story is a monster. And monsters wear many faces.
Like the face of a dead deer, perhaps. Oh. Remember, folks, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. What is all this? So yeah, we actually start this game off as playing as one of the Taken. Or who I think is one of the Taken. Now, normally this guy would be naked, but because YouTube doesn't approve of that, I had to turn on the option that censors nudity. So he's wearing a rugged pair of pantaloons instead. But anyways, for backstory, it's been 13 years, both in real life and the game universe, since the first Alan Wake. And Alan is still trapped in the dark place. This game takes place both after the events of that game and Control.
Can you hear me?
Come on in. We should go.
And as such,
John.
if you've watched my playthrough of Control, then I've talked to great extent about the Remedy connected universe. And I promise one of these days we'll play Quantum Break. You know, it's not really important, but we will play it. But anyways, I don't have a flashlight. But anywho, uh-oh, there's rustling in the darkness. If you're wondering who this guy is, it's Agent Nightingale from the first Alan Wake. He was the FBI guy that was chasing Alan the whole time and slowly losing his shit. He was like, I'm gonna get you, Wake, if it's the last thing I do. Rah, 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 rah. You know, well, this is what happened to him. Oh, yeah. Fair warning, there's a lot of that shit in this game. Where the first Alan Wake was more Stephen King inspired and more of an action-adventure game with horror elements, this game is more David Lynch inspired and is a full-on survival horror game with a bunch of horror cliches, like jump scares. So anyways, prepare for that shit to happen a lot, where like the screen goes gray and like you see like that that grayscale jump scare with someone's face in it. That happens like at least 70 fucking times. Yep, see? There it just happened like 3 more times. That's gonna happen a lot. And it will get annoying, and I apologize. But I didn't do it. It's the game. I make it sound like we're off to a bad start or something, but no. This is a great game. It was a fucking Game of the Year nominee after all. Oh, look! Lights! That means good, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, lights aren't good. Lights are... No! Run away! Oh, we got shot. I guess there's no running after all. Oh, you can't see it because it's blurry, but we just got stabbed. Yeah, in case you're wondering... Yeah, there is no getting out of this situation. Uh-oh. Being witness to cult activity usually means bad things for you. Well, now you know what happened to Agent Nightingale from the first game. Also, do you remember how the title screen was on Control, like the opening title card? And it was like, BOOM! Well, watch this. I can't even lie. This game has more in common with Control than it does the first Alan Wake. It feels more like a sequel to that, even though it's not. It's like it's a sequel to both. It really is. You'll see what I mean as we go,
Hey,
but
kiddo.
it's
How are
important
you?
that you
I'm
know
good,
both of
Mom.
them.
How are you?
This trip might take a little longer than I thought. I'm sorry I've been gone so much lately, Logan.
Oh my god, Mom, it's not your fault people get all murdery. What happened?
Just work stuff.
Right. Well, Dad and I are just watching the latest episode of Night Springs here. Mom, it's so good.
No spoilers. I'll let you get back to the show. You were supposed to wait and watch with me. I love you both.
This is what happens when you go on work trips, Mom. Love you too. And say hi to Casey. Tell him to stop brooding so much.
Logan? I will. Bye, kiddo.
Enter our hero, Saga Anderson, a para-utilitarian who's also an FBI agent, investigating the death of Agent
Logan
Nightingale.
thinks you should try cheering up.
Snarky kid. Wonder where she gets that from.
They always sip their coffee at the same time. It's a Twin Peaks reference.
It can't be a coincidence that another body turns up just as we arrive in town. Feels like the killer's leaving us a message.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. It's right up your alley. You should take lead. Think of me as the backup.
Okay. Any words of advice?
Nothing that would cheer anyone up.
Yeah, Logan's right. He does need to cheer up. Logan is Saga's daughter, by the way, that she left back at home.
Here we are. Cauldron Lake.
Yep.
Time to get to work.
So this game takes place in Bright Falls, Washington, just like the first game did. By Cauldron Lake, the same place where Alice was lost to the dark place, and then Alan was lost after he saved her.
A deputy was supposed to be here to show us to the crime scene. There's the car, so where's the deputy?
Eaten by a bear? I'll check out that map.
Return 1, Invitation. So, the way that this game is set up, we will switch back and forth between
Memorizing.
uh
Before we get swallowed up by the trees.
we will switch back and forth between Saga Anderson.
I should take a
The
look at that map.
in the yeah, we'll look at the map in a minute. Shut up. I'm showing the audience something. Um, we will switch between playing as Saga Anderson and Alan Wake. Saga in the real world and Alan in the dark place. But here's something interesting I want to show you real quick. This door is locked, and look at who it's been locked off by.
The Federal Bureau of Control? That's a new one.
That's right.
Toxic volcanic gas, huh?
The FBC is an obscure branch. It only shows up for unusual cases.
Well, what's so unusual about volcanic gas?
Beats me.
Yeah, what was unusual was that what happened in the first game is what's known as an altered world event. You may remember that from Control. Let's see here. The rarest wildlife in the Pacific Northeast. These are just some notes that somebody, that's a bird watcher, a bird researcher, and like just a researcher in general was coming to study like the plants and animals in this area to see how the Cauldron Lake was affecting it. As we play this game and we start looking around in different areas at different stuff, we'll start to see notes, research notes, and even like riddles and stuff left behind by the FBC, because ever since the events of Alan Wake, they established a base out here and they've been studying Cauldron Lake because it's like a portal between the real world and the dark place. So obviously, the Federal Bureau of Control and Jesse Faden is very interested in it. So they're very interested in Bright Falls in general because a lot of paranatural shit seems to happen here. Yeah, I'm back. Whatever. And by the way, that Casey Jones, in case you're wondering, that is the same Casey Jones from the books that Alan Wake wrote. He's a fictional character from Alan Wake books, and yet here he is in the real world, which means things are already weird. And also, Casey Jones is loosely based on Max Payne, which is, also a Remedy game and exists in their multiverse. And if you look closely at his face, he's modeled after the game's director, Sam Lake. He looks just like him. Like, that is Sam Lake. So, all right. We got a map. All of the
I think I hear someone. Could be our deputy.
all of the characters all the characters hold on. All the characters in this game look exactly like their actors, and that is
right? Sheriff Breaker said you'd be coming by to take over the case.
You're half right. Anderson?
yeah, just a second. All of the actors here look exactly like their characters, and that's intentional because there are some live action cutscenes in this game. Kind of like Control had some live action parts in it. This does too. And I'm not just talking about the weird TV commercials. There's full on cutscenes in this game that are completely live action. However, in the case of Casey, he is voiced by someone differently than who he's modeled after. So when we see Sam Lake in live action, he'll actually be using his actual voice with his accent and all that. But that's because he's a different thing at that point. But you'll understand when we get there. Anyways, hi.
Saga Anderson. I'll be leading this case. Seems you already know my partner, Alex Casey.
Shoot. Sorry about that, ma'am. I'm Deputy Mulligan. I just figured that, Federal agent's right here, Thornton. My partner, Thornton, down at the crime scene. He's not what you call the sharpest axe in the shed.
Right here? What do you mean? Are they with you? Oh, shit! They didn't hear me, did they?
What can you tell us about the crime scene?
Tell them about the heart.
I was getting to that, Thornton. Well, we reckon there are some organs that are currently outside the victim's person when they should be, well, inside.
Were there any witnesses?
Yeah, a couple out-of-towners. I wonder what they were doing sneaking around the woods at night.
Mention the city folk. It's pretty suspicious.
Not that we have anything against city folk, right, Thornton? But don't worry. Sheriff Breaker took them back to town a while ago.
You remember Sheriff Breaker from the first game?
I want to see the body. How do we get there?
Oh, sure, that's real simple. Just through the hole in the fence, down the hill towards the lake, around the old convenience store. You can't miss it. Everything's been closed since the area was fenced off. The store, the campground, all of it.
Mulligan, tell him I'm here waiting.
And yet you got through.
Thornton.
I'm pretty sure it was the cult that did this, though. Yeah, in case you're wondering, yes, the Taken are a problem in this game again, both
Before
for
we get to the
Saga
crime
and
scene,
Alan.
there's time to review the facts of the case so far. Make sure I'm
And-
seeing the clues clearly.
And the Taken are really, like, they're a lot scarier in this game than they were in the first one, too. However, they aren't the only problem. Our other problem we have to deal with, and arguably the main villains of this game, is the Cult of the Tree. That's what they're called. Those are the guys with the deer masks. They are an issue. Well, at least for now. But anyways, as far as people who haven't seen or played this are concerned, that's what we're dealing with at the moment. Well, the Cult of the Tree is the villain on Saga's side. Mr. Scratch is the villain on Alan's side, but they're kind of connected in a way. So, you may remember Mr. Scratch from American Nightmare and the Alan Wake DLC in Control. All right, so now we're going to visit Saga's Mind Place. This is a why isn't it letting me do it? That's weird. It's not letting me open my Mind Place.
I need to think through the facts of the case.
Okay, here we go. Now it will. I guess I had to wait for the tutorial message to pop up.
The Mind Place. My version of the Mind Palace technique. To sift through clues and work the case. Building the Mind Place again for each case.
Yeah, because who can
Using
afford a
each
palace
field office as
in
a
this
model my
economy?
head. The facts are on the board.
All right. Keep in mind, you see what I did there, that when Saga's in her mind place, this is literally inside her head. We are inside Saga's head right now. This is what it looks like. She is a seer. She's a para-utilitarian, just like Alan, just like Jesse, and just like the old gods of Asgard. They're all para-utilitarians, and so too is she. And this is one of her powers, this mind place thing. Anyways, this is how we deduce clues
Everything we know
and
about
solve
the
shit
previous murders.
in this game.
Worth taking another look.
Okay. Talk to someone. We don't have anything else. So yeah, all victims reported missing in 2010. Ted Lane, Wendy Davis, and Percy Wolf. I think these might have all been people who lived in Bright Falls. Murder method, slight difference in murders. Bloating is the only commonality, as if they were in water for a while, but not the cause of death. Chest trauma, exposure to water is post-mortem, perhaps? No, it's actually pre-mortem. See, these people, before they get killed by the cult is going around killing people who disappeared in 2010 when Alan Wake was first here, who are somehow coming back out of the dark place. Just like Agent Nightingale did, he was lost to the dark place, and we saw him crawling out of it, out of the water, and that's why he was bloated. And immediately he was killed by the cult. That's what they're doing. Why? I guess we'll find out later. But if we're trying to get Alan out of the dark place, that doesn't exactly spell good things for him, does it? Kind of makes him a target.
I see you're already hard at work, Anderson. Close to cracking it?
We're just getting started. Let's head down the hill to the crime scene. Hey, Casey. You putting me in charge. Why now?
Look, Anderson, you're a better detective than I am. You've cracked cases that had the rest of us baffled. I don't want to slow you down.
Are you thinking of retiring? You know what happens to cops who say this is their last case.
Yeah.
Real funny, Anderson.
Look, this game is going to get really meta at times because if I'm being honest, it's a story about a story about a story. And that'll make sense later, I promise. But it's like you have to understand with Alan's powers things get complicated because it's a whole chicken and the egg scenario.
Stairs are out.
Did
You
things
okay to jump
happen?
down?
I'm not that old.
In Alan's case, you always have to ask, are things happening because he wrote it that way or is he writing it that way because it's happening? You know what I mean? You know, do certain people even only exist because he wrote them into existence? Or have they always existed and the reality surrounding them has changed within the confines of an altered world event?
Nature
You know,
gives me a headache.
think
Too
of
much sky.
if you've ever seen WandaVision on Disney Plus, the MCU show, you know how she traps a whole town of people under a witch hex and has them all believe they're living in a sitcom, but outside that witch hex, everything is normal. Think of Bright Falls like that. Bright Falls has basically got like a big old witch hex around it, and everything happening in here is directly influenced by Alan's writing. You know, but outside of Bright Falls, everything is normal. Well, as normal as things can be. As we learned in Control, there are altered world events happening everywhere, so I don't think there's any such thing as normal
Not a
in
bad
this
place to get murdered.
multiverse.
Getting back to nature is your thing.
And yes, to be clear, the Remedy connected universe
Damn.
is a multiverse.
Should have brought an umbrella.
I like the rain. The only thing around here that feels like home.
You think the local law had the sense to put up a tarp?
If they did, next coffee's on me.
Now, the only reason I know it's a multiverse is because in Control, at one point we spoke to Jesse's brother Dylan, and he said that he spoke to someone called Mr. Door, and Mr. Door taught him about the multiverse. But that the multiverse was set up as layers with all of these universes stacked on top each other, is how he described it. So, with that in mind, so we're actually going to meet Mr. Door in this game, and if his name sounds familiar, that's why. It's because he was mentioned in Control
Deputy Thornton,
a couple of
I
times,
take it.
but we never actually saw
That's
him.
me, at your service, ready to get this case solved. Now the body's behind the store. Come on, I'll show you.
Well, yeehaw and all that. I'm looking forward to it. Giddy on up and such.
So, FBI, huh? That's so cool. Hunting down psycho serial killers and shootouts with the mob.
I'm glad you think so.
The UFO cover-ups.
Ha
Those are real? You guys hiring?
He's joking.
Let's just see this body, shall we?
Oh, Casey, you're such a chuckle bucket. A real laugh
This is the
riot,
scene
that
of the
guy.
crime. We found him on the table.
No,
We didn't
the
touch
scene of the
nothing,
crime.
You know,
You don't
procedures
say.
and-
I thought it was a barbecue.
Thanks, Deputy.
No tarp. You owe me a coffee.
Okay. Let's start by examining our guest of honor.
You owe me a shut the hell
Does
up.
this fit the MO of the previous murders?
I don't know, kind of looks like
Body
it.
is positioned on the table. Ritualistic.
All right, here we go. Now we're starting in an official case on the board.
Another body turns up just as we arrive in town. Coincidence?
It's worth mentioning that when Saga's in her mind place, by the way, time still flows in real time outside of her mind. So if you do this shit when you're in the middle of the woods at night and there's Taken around, you can be attacked while you're in the mind place. So you have to be very mindful of when you use it. Okay, I promise I won't do that anymore. All right. Now we need clues. I also like to think that when she goes into her mind place, her eyes roll into the back of her head,
Step
and all you
one,
can see is the whites of her
examine the
eyes.
corpse.
If you're like looking at her when it happens, that's how Casey can tell.
The killer left the heart right next to the body. Bruising on the wrist from the cargo straps holding him down. Incised stab wound. Chest cut open. Heart removed.
All right. Now we have clues. Yeah, we just pin him on the board like Pepe
Heart
Sylvia.
removed from chest. Strapped by the wrists. Definitely matches the previous murders. But this time the heart and the straps were left behind. More clues to work with. This makes 4 murders that we know about.
And it's not even lunchtime yet. All right.
Who is our victim? Who killed him? Need to find more clues. Large amount of blood on the table. The victim died here. Multiple people were here. Multiple killers?
I apologize if you have a hard time seeing this game at certain points, by the way. I am recording it in 4K with HDR, which means that the dark parts can be really dark. I did turn up the brightness a little bit,
Someone left in a hurry. Knocked the tripod over. Was it for a camera?
so it should be fine. Plus, if you're not watching on a 4K monitor, it'll downscale it to 1080p anyways. So
Someone was drinking beer. They spent time here. Waiting.
I'll get more once I've had a chat with the. I'm also, since I'm recording it in 4K, I want you to get the most out of the visuals, which this probably helps with the brightness too. So I'm playing it in quality mode, which means it's running at 4K 30 FPS. There's also performance mode, which is like 1440p 60 FPS, but that makes a huge difference in the visuals in some areas. For example, let's look at this foliage right here. You see how there's nice dense foliage, lots of leaves, lots of trees. Okay, watch what happens when I change the game to performance mode. Less foliage. Sure, the camera moves smoother now, which is great for combat, but it's not as the environment's not as detailed now. All right, now let's turn it back on. You see the difference? Look at these white flowers right here. They're not really there in performance mode. Watch, watch. I know, I'm going crazy. I mean, they are there, but there's way less of them. And you see, they take like half of them out. If I turn quality mode back on, it'll be like a full lush field of the bitches. A whole patch of them. See? Boom. Suddenly more flowers. Okay. Anyways, though, it doesn't matter that it's in 30 frames because the PS5 records it at 60 frames anyways, so it's going to be upscaled for you. So you're getting the best possible experience visually. Even if you're not watching on a 4K thing, since it's the highest possible quality it could be in the recorded file, even a downscaled image should look really, really good.
Any idea who the victim is?
Oh, I sure do. His name is Nightingale. He was FBI. He came to town about 13 years ago. Now, I haven't heard a word about him since. Well, until now.
Nightingale? Robert Nightingale?
Oh, yes. You probably knew him. Brothers in arms. Oh, and sisters.
Yes.
So you knew our victim.
Well, I didn't recognize him in his current state. But yeah, I ran into him a few times at Quantico. Never worked any cases together. After his partner got killed in the field, he went off the deep end. Got the boot pretty quick after that.
So what happened to Nightingale after the Bureau let him go?
I only know the rumors. Depression led to booze, booze led to paranoia. He got some wild ideas in his head, chased ghosts until he fell off the map.
Or into the dark place.
He ended up here,
I bet there's more to that story.
but no happy ending.
Nightingale went missing 13 years ago. 2010.
The same as all the other victims.
Certainly fits the pattern. Makes me wonder what was going on that year.
Probably something this town wants to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's everything. For now, at least.
Mm-hmm. Anything clicking yet?
Not sure. Need to think about it.
All right. Let's put this shit up one last time. The victim. We know who the victim is.
Robert Nightingale, ex-FBI, came to Bright Falls 13 years ago. Boot prints indicating multiple killers. Quite the party. They planned for the murder to happen here, passing the time with equipment ready. They were waiting for him.
Yep.
But why Nightingale? He's been missing for 13 years. Why here? Why now?
I mean, there's your answer. It matches the same pattern as all the other victims.
Profiling. Get into the subject's head. See what they saw. Feel what they felt. Use whatever I know about them to guide my intuition to a revelation. Piece it together.
This is Saga's other para-utilitarian power. Not quite as cool as being able to write things into reality or move shit with your mind, but still cool.
Agent Nightingale has been MIA for 13 years. How did he end up here?
Up from the lake that's not a lake. It's dark. He was there too. You are not allowed in the lake until he says otherwise.
Robert Nightingale came from the lake, before his murder.
The lake that's not a lake. Pay attention, Saga. As we'll see later too. Saga, this profiling thing that she can do right here, she can also use it to communicate telepathically with other para-utilitarians.
Nightingale was chosen as the victim. Why?
Flick the switch. It goes click. Lights are off. But somebody's home. Somebody's home.
This wasn't some random act of violence. This was a ritual. A Nightingale a component. They didn't see him as a person. More like a container for something.
Yeah, traps and problems. Oh wait, is there more? Ah, yes. Okay, there's nothing more here to do
The
now.
lake is connected to Nightingale somehow.
So we gotta go to the lake.
Casey, let's take a look down by the lake. Lead the way.
Sounds good. This way, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I'll just wait here.
Yeah, you do that and try not to die. Because we all know things are about to get very bad very quickly. If you've ever played a horror game, well, you know.
This one of your hunches, Anderson? Did something happen at the lake?
I think Nightingale came up from that direction. From the lake. Probably looking for shelter. Safety. They were waiting for him.
When you're ready, I'd love to hear what you put together so far.
Sure. It's not that complicated. Nightingale was out in the woods alone at night, possibly nude. The killers knew he was here, ambushed him, dragged him to the campgrounds, strapped him to the table, cut his heart out. But then they were interrupted by those witnesses, the Bookers. The job is unfinished.
That seems pretty complicated to me. What was this guy doing skinny dipping at this time of year?
Haven't figured that part out yet.
Mm-hmm. Lots of questions.
Lots of answers for us to find.
I didn't know trees got that big.
Yeah, it's kind of blocking our path to the lake.
You need to get out more. It is kind of creepy, though.
Hey, look, a manuscript page. Now, you may remember in the first Alan Wake, all the pages we found were pages of the story that was currently happening that, of course, Alan had no memory of writing. You know, he was trapped in a story that he wrote that he didn't remember writing. In this case, though, these are pages that Alan is aware that he's writing, and they're meant for Saga to find.
There's a piece of paper on the ground.
Yeah, pick it up.
Tracks. Barefoot. Nightingales? They come out from under the boulder.
It makes no sense.
A page full of text on one side. Not a printout. Written with a typewriter. Old school. Lines scratched out and edits added with a pen.
Like a manuscript. Page of a story. Killer left a message.
It's for us. The text is about us. The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale. And then there was the page they found. The first step down into terrifying depths.
Reading the words. These words felt like a message.
Felt like a message.
Someone knew they were here. Someone playing a game with them. An invitation. How could they not accept?
Even if they knew it would end up hurting them.
Yep.
Someone's been watching us.
Playing a sick game with us.
You were right. This is right up my alley. Nightingale came this way. Either he dropped this page, or the killers left it for us.
Okay, so yeah, whenever we find a manuscript page, the game only gives us a little bit of what it says, or none of it at all, and we have to go into the mind place in order to hear the whole thing. So where are the manuscript pages kept? Ah, here they are. All right. It takes us to like a different screen, which is Alan's writing room, which is basically his own version of the mind place and the dark place. But you'll actually get to hear the entire thing.
The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale, gone missing here 13 years ago. Now he had suddenly turned up, only to be murdered in a brutal ritual on the very day of their arrival. And then there was the page. This page, the first page that they had found, not the last. The first step down into terrifying depths. Secret truths trembling beyond the threshold. Reading the words, these words, felt like a message. Was a message. Someone knew they were here. What they were doing. Someone playing a game with them. Leading them on. An invitation. How could they not accept? The sheer audacity of this impossible mystery presented to them. Even if they knew it would end up hurting them.
There you go. Now for a profile.
We found a page in the woods. A story about these events. What is Nightingale's role in this?
I carry his words close to my chest now. Inside, the awful truth. You must dig it out.
Something was put inside him. In his chest. I must find out what.
Okay. I don't think we have any more case boards to... Oh, yeah, we do. Sometimes you have to fill out the case board before it gives you your next objective.
I think he came from the lake. But his tracks make no sense. Found all I can here. Time to properly examine the body. See what I can find inside. Casey, I think something's been put inside Nightingale's body. Let's tell the deputies to get the body to the town morgue.
Okay.
Whoever wrote that page made sure it read like a story. Like a scene from a thriller.
I hate all of it. The text said we'd find more. I believe it.
But what's the purpose? They're twisting events to create their own narrative. To do what? Entertain some fantasy? Projecting their desires? Are we characters or the audience? Witnesses to their design? All the above?
You're
It's
definitely
all about
characters.
Control. Deciding what happens to who. Don't let it drag you in.
Too late. I'm already hooked. I need the next chapter.
Well, it's not all about Control. It's partially about Alan Wake as well. But it does help if you've played both.
Hey, you made it back. Good. I hope you didn't get stuck in any of those big puddles. Crazy flooding down there, huh? Just like I said.
Deputy, I want the body taken back to town for a proper examination ASAP.
Well, sure. But the
A
coroner
sap-
won't be back in town for another week after Deerfest.
Not a problem. I'll do it myself.
Oh, and Sheriff Breaker called to say he's got the Bookers at the Oh Dear Diner in town. Oh, and I've got a key to the gate. It's a shortcut back to the parking lot just up the hill.
Oh, how nice of you. And useful for me, thank you. Because God knows we'll have to come back to this forest 1,000 times before the game's
Thanks.
over. Yeah,
Let's
this
get the
isn't...
car. Drive
This
to Bright
isn't,
Falls, and talk to these witnesses, the Bookers.
At the diner, right? I could use a cup of coffee.
Let's try that shortcut the deputy mentioned.
Sounds good.
This isn't linear like the first Alan Wake. This is more like Control, where we spend a bunch of time going back and forth between different, like the same locations. You know, I mean,
Seems like a nice town so far.
we will visit a lot of
Countryside.
locations, but we
Pretty
will visit
woods.
several of them more than once.
Cute lodge we got set up in. We should go for a hike if we get a chance.
Now you're just being mean, Anderson.
Deputies aren't exactly up to the task, but hopefully the sheriff will be more helpful.
Not a surprise about the deputies. Doubt they see much stuff this gruesome.
See this thing right here? The Federal Bureau of Control put this here, as you can tell by the sign on the door. So, yep, the FBC. Every once in a while, we'll find these lunch boxes
that
laying
a-
around too.
Kid's lunchbox?
It's not only is it a lunchbox, it's a lunchbox based off of the books written by Alan Wake about Alex Casey.
An Alex Casey movie lunchbox. Casey hates the endless jokes about coincidentally having the same name as a fake detective. He hates those cheesy crime books. But he
Right,
really hates the movies.
right. Alan wrote the books. They made movies out of them, and guess who made the movies? Who made the movies about Alex Casey based off the books that Alan wrote? Thomas Zane. Yep, that's right. Tom Zane, the poet in the diver suit from the first game. So, anyway, somebody's leaving these for us because when we find these manuscript scraps, we can use them to upgrade our weapons, which we need a lot in order to do it, but if we pay attention and look around enough, we'll find them. Okay. By the way, unlike the first game, I will not be finishing entire chapters in this playthrough. This is going to be more like Control, where I just take it an hour at a time, and what we get through is what we get through. Because the chapters in this game are very long, because this game is very long. It's about a 20-hour game. So we're just going to have to, like, take it bit by bit, because I'm limited to the amount of time I can record on the PS5 anyways with the internal recording feature. It's limited to an hour. So it kind of is what it is.
Can't fit the clues all together yet. Heart removed, tripod, tracks leading to a dead end.
A tripod for a camera? To record a snuff film?
Maybe. And why take out his heart just to throw it away?
To stuff in something for us to find.
Yeah. All that being said, by the way, there are definitive chapter endpoints for this one, but there isn't like a previously on Alan Wake between episodes like there was the first one. That one was treated like a TV show, which is a thing they did again with Quantum Break. This is more like episodic, or no, this is more like bookmarks between chapters, I guess you could say. But that being said, though, there are songs in between each chapter, just like the first game. And yes, I do plan on letting them play out in their entirety for you. And if you don't want to hear them, you can just
Here we
fast
are.
forward.
Let's drive back to town and meet the sheriff at the diner.
But the songs in this game are really good, so I guarantee you probably want to hear them. And I think they're all license friendly. You know, because they knew people would want to stream this.
I can't get that manuscript page out of my head. I've never seen killers reach out so directly before.
Damn impressive work so far. With your technique, these hunches were moving fast.
I wasn't sure about taking a case so far from home, but I'm thrilled to be here for this mystery.
This game autosaves a lot, but in order to manually save, we have to find these safe zones that are basically janitor closets
Need to swing by the lodge to get anything from the field office?
that have a coffee
I'm all
thermos
set.
in them that we
I'll
can
pop
use
there
to
anyway.
save.
I want to walk to the diner, get a feel for the town.
It's a nice looking town.
The diner's just up the waterfront. Shouldn't keep the sheriff and our witnesses waiting.
I smell coffee.
I smell coffee, splurgin, durgin, durgin, coffee.
Have you had today, Charlie? Don't know, don't care.
I feel like you have to drink a lot of coffee in order to do that job and be enthusiastic about it. There are a lot of areas out here that we can't get to right now because we don't have the right things yet. Like, for example, right here,
Can't open this with my bare hands.
in order to get through here, we need a pair of bolt cutters, which we won't get until like 3/4 of the way through the game. It's very Resident Evil in that kind of way. In fact, look at our inventory system. It's just a grid of squares. See? Just like Resident Evil. And we can increase it by finding backpacks.
Oh dear. Cute.
Anyways,
The FBI. Welcome to Bright Falls. It's nice to have you here. I got you both some coffee. Oh, it's Washington's finest.
this is Tim Breaker. He is related to Sarah Breaker, the sheriff from the first game. Also, he's played by Shawn Ashmore, which is very interesting because in the Remedy Extended Universe, Shawn Ashmore is also the actor that plays Jack Joyce in the video game Quantum Break, which is a Remedy game, and it's part of the whole connected Remedy verse. That one's loosely connected though because Microsoft owns the rights to that one, so they can't really tie it in directly with the other games. But it is, it's part of the whole connected universe thing, anyways. But yeah,
Nice to meet you, Sheriff. I'm set for coffee.
You know, I wouldn't say no to another.
I'm Agent Saga Anderson. This is Agent Alex Casey.
Tim Breaker. And let me just say, I'm happy you two are here. Frankly, we could use the help.
you may also recognize Shawn Ashmore from the Dark Pictures anthology Man of Medan, who in my playthrough was the guy who escaped on the boat immediately in the beginning and then came back later after they had already left and got trapped on the ship by himself.
Your deputies said you had a couple of witnesses here.
They made them sound like suspects.
Mulligan and Thornton are still on about that? No, the Bookers don't strike me as the murdering type, but you can decide for yourselves. They're just inside having coffee and pie to calm their nerves.
I'll see what they have to say. Casey, you compare notes with the sheriff.
Take your time.
We are going to sit here and eavesdrop for a minute, though,
We've
because
looked through the case files you
good
sent over,
stuff.
Sheriff. Have you had many people besides the known victims go missing?
Sure. But it's slowed down ever since Cauldron Lake was fenced off.
Let me guess. Missing person cases spiked around 2010. The fence was built just after.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep. But we already knew all
Go
that.
ahead, Anderson. We'll be here.
We already knew all that because we played Control and read all the notes about in relation to Alan Wake and the events that happened here. Anyways, remember this diner? The Oh Dear Diner from the first game? I remember when we came in here, there was an Alan Wake cutout right here. The lady named Rose working behind the diner was super excited to see us. And the old gods of Asgard were sitting in this booth right here arguing about what song to play on the jukebox, which is now out of order.
You know how touchy these rural types can be?
Because the old gods put the lime in the coconut way too much. Also, this hallway back here, which is dark as shit right now, uh, but we can get a map out of it, so that's why I came back here. We can't get anywhere else back here right now. I mean, we can get in this bathroom, but there's not really any point because there's nothing in here. It's just here to be here, but this is where Alan got the shit scared out of him by the creepy lady.
I can't force it open.
Well, it was the darkness pretending to be that one lady. Also, this padlock right here is stopping us from getting in this room, but later we'll get a screwdriver that we can use to break those rusty old padlocks off of doors. So there will be a reason to come back here later. Mainly items. Also, one of the collectibles in this game is these deer heads. Every time Saga sees one, she feels bad for it and pets it.
Hey there, Mr. Deer. You remind me of a dream I had.
Yeah. Alright, that's what we went back there for, a collectible and a map. Now let's talk to these witnesses.
Excuse me. I'm Agent Saga Anderson. Are you the Bookers?
That's us. I'm Tammy, and he's Ed.
Hello, officer.
Just Saga is fine, Ed.
So, are we being charged with anything? Because if not, we'd love to get back to our hotel and decompress after what we saw. Take a bath, scream into pillows, that kind of thing.
We're not charging you. I just have a few questions. Nothing to stress about, okay? So what did you see in the woods?
This naked dude came out of the lake, and he was acting crazy, shouting weird shit at us. He must have been on something.
Unless skinny dipping at dawn is a thing around here.
Then we heard shooting. We ran into these psychos in deer masks. They were tearing into the naked guy with knives, like some kind of satanic cult. And then we bolted and called the cops.
What makes you say it was a cult?
The masks and knives aren't enough.
They were shouting, "Cult of the tree, the cult of the tree, cult of the tree." Oh, and then we found it. The whole thing was terrifying. That's all.
Uh-huh, they're hiding something, but...
What were you doing at Cauldron Lake last night?
I'm a writer. True crime. We're here from New York, doing some research on a famous novelist, Alan Wake, who went missing here. I was down at the lake, getting some details. Perfectly legal.
Okay, well, I'm not done with you. Looks like I got a little profiling to do.
The cult of the tree. What are the Bookers telling me?
I found their necklace. The symbol is 2 triangles.
The cult wants their spruce tree back, Tammy.
Finders keepers, Ed. My publisher will want this on the cover.
Tammy found something. A necklace belonging to one of the cultists.
That's evidence, Tammy. You can't be taking that.
The Bookers were at Cauldron Lake. Why?
The fence was built to hide what's there. They say the rider fell in the lake.
Private party. No trespassing.
My book has questions. Past the bolt cutters.
They broke in for the sake of Tammy's book. Nothing to do with the murder.
Well, now we know who
They
cut
were
the hole in the fence. Yeah, so Tammy was writing a true crime book, and they were there to investigate the disappearance of Alan Wake. And they got more than they bargained for.
So you found something there, right? A necklace these cultists may have dropped.
Okay. Wow. How did you put that together?
It's evidence. You need to hand it over.
Told you not to keep that thing to me.
Thanks. This could prove to be helpful. Do me a favor. Stick around town for now in case we have any more questions.
Oh, hey, it's Rose.
Like we'd even dream of missing dear.
Remember her from the first game?
Saga! Saga Anderson. As I live and breathe.
back here after that awful, awful thing happened to your baby girl. How are you? I'm sorry. Who are you? I don't know what you're talking about. It's me, silly. Rose. You know me. I don't think I do. And what horrible thing happened to my baby girl? She drowned. Your daughter. That's so weird you don't remember. How do you know I have a daughter?
Interesting, huh?
Oh, I know what this is. You're blocking out your traumatic memories. Happens on TV all the time. No. You're mistaking me for someone else. If you say so.
It could just be me, but this feels like weirdly appropriate to play around wintertime because Saga's wearing a Christmas sweater and a big FBI jacket. You know, it must be cold.
All set? My guys have Nightingale at the morgue if you're ready to go take a look.
Let's go.
All right. Well, that's actually going to be where we stop this episode because I'm going to leave you on that bombshell right there. Rose knows Saga. How is that possible? Rose is acting like Saga has been living here all her life, you know, and that she left and came back or something. And what is this about her daughter dying? Her daughter drowning? Now, we saw Saga on the phone with her daughter earlier in the beginning of this game. So, what is all this nonsense? Could it possibly be the interference of Alan trying to write himself out of the dark place? Could the story that he's writing once again be coming true and taking over Bright Falls just like it did 13 years ago? I guess we'll dig deeper into these questions in the next episode. But until then, let me know what you think of this so far in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click that like button. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you possibly on another day, definitely at another time, and likely in another video. Okay, goodbye.